You are standing over a kill, a massive one, an animal 3 times your size, finally down after a hunt that nearly killed you twice. And now, in the dying light, you can hear them. Hyenas circling the tree line, a leopard somewhere above you in the branches, patient waiting, maybe worse. You have no claws, no horns, no armor plating, just 2 hands, a few sharpened sticks, and a body that every predator in this landscape has been built, over millions of years, to take apart. By every reasonable measure, you should lose this meat. You should lose this fight. And yet, somehow, again and again, across thousands of generations, your ancestors walked away from moments exactly like this one, still breathing, and often still holding the meat. So how? What did a slow, clawless, fangless animal actually do to make some of the most dangerous predators on the planet back off? The answer is stranger than you'd expect, and it's not just one trick. It's a whole toolkit built slowly, awkwardly, sometimes by accident, and it changed not just how your ancestors survived, but what kind of animal they eventually became. Start with fire, because everyone assumes they already know this part, and almost everyone is wrong about why it actually worked. The common story is that humans discovered fire and used it to cook food, and that's true eventually, but it's probably not why fire mattered first. Some researchers now argue that the earliest and most important use of fire wasn't cooking at all, it was protecting meat. Imagine you've just brought down a massive animal. That kill is now the single most valuable thing on the entire landscape, and every scavenger and predator within smelling distance knows it. Hyenas, lions, other groups of early humans. A fresh carcass is basically a flashing sign in the dark that says free meal here, and you cannot defend it with your body alone. But fire could guard it for you. Smoke alone could keep flies and decay away long enough to dry the meat into something you could carry. And the flames themselves did something almost no other tool could do. They triggered a fear response so deep, so ancient, that it's wired into nearly every land animal on Earth, predator and prey alike. This isn't something animals learn through bad experiences. Lab animals that have never once been near an open flame in their lives will still flinch and back away at the smell of smoke. It's baked into their nervous systems at a level below thought, which means the moment you figured out how to make fire, carry fire, and keep it burning through the night, you weren't just keeping warm. You had built a tool that worked on almost every predator on the planet without you having to lift a single weapon. Fire alone doesn't explain everything, because fire goes out. Fire isn't always available, and plenty of dangerous encounters happen in broad daylight with no flame anywhere nearby. So what happened then? This is where it gets genuinely strange. Researchers studying primate behavior have found something remarkable in other social, defenseless-looking animals like forest monkeys and chimpanzees. When predators show up, these animals don't go quiet and try to hide. They do the opposite. They erupt into loud, coordinated, overlapping vocal displays, a chaotic wall of noise that confuses and overwhelms anything trying to hunt them. And some researchers now believe your ancestors did something remarkably similar, just turned up several notches. Group vocal displays, shouting, banging, throwing stones, brandishing sticks all at once, weren't just panic. They were a coordinated strategy, almost certainly refined over countless close calls, designed to make a small group of slow, weak animals sound and look like something far larger and far more dangerous than any single human actually was. Think about what that would have looked like from a predator's point of view. You're a big cat, you've spotted what looks like an easy, soft-bodied animal alone in the grass, and the second you commit to the approach, suddenly there are 6, 8, 10 of these things, all screaming at once, slapping sticks against the ground, throwing rocks in your direction, moving together in ways that don't match anything in your hunting experience. Nothing about that reads as easy prey anymore. It reads as chaos, and chaos is expensive for a predator that can't afford to get hurt. And that's the detail almost nobody talks about, the one piece of information that flips this entire story on its head. We tend to imagine predators as fearless killing machines that attack whatever crosses their path, but that's mostly fiction. A lion doesn't get medical treatment after a bad fight. A leopard with a torn tendon doesn't get to rest in a hospital bed while it heals. In the wild, an injury that would be minor for you can be a death sentence for a predator, because an injured predator can't hunt, and a predator that can't hunt starves, which means every single attack a predator considers is secretly a gamble, a constant, exhausting risk calculation running in the background of its mind. Is this worth it? Is this prey predictable? Could this go wrong? And you, screaming, Throwing things, working as a coordinated unit instead of fleeing in panic, are about the worst possible answer to that question a predator can encounter. Unpredictable, loud, seemingly defended prey isn't an easy meal. It's a liability. There's an even stranger theory buried in all of this. One that barely gets talked about, and it might be the most shocking part of the entire story. Some researchers studying the deep evolutionary roots of human behavior have proposed that an entire cluster of strange human traits, things that seem completely unrelated at first glance, might actually share a single hidden purpose: long head hair, strong body odor; underarm hair, rhythm, music itself. According to this theory, all of these could be forms of what biologists call aposematic display, the same basic strategy used by brightly colored frogs and wasps to warn predators away before a fight ever starts. The idea is that early humans lacking any obvious physical weapon evolved a combination of loud, strange, attention-grabbing signals, sound, scent, visual oddity, that collectively told predators this is not normal prey, this is something complicated. Approach with extreme caution. If this theory holds up, it means some of the most basic things that make you human, the music you respond to, the rhythm your body naturally falls into, might have started as a survival broadcast aimed directly at the predators trying to eat your ancestors. Now here's where the story gets even more uncomfortable, because it forces you to rethink something you've probably always assumed. For decades, the popular image of early humans was the fearless hunter, spear in hand, dominating the landscape from the very beginning. But a lot of researchers now think that picture is backwards, or at least badly oversimplified. There's serious, ongoing debate about whether your earliest ancestors were dangerous predators at all, or whether for an enormous stretch of time they were closer to prey, vulnerable, watched, hunted. And if that's true, it reframes everything you've just heard. Fire, group noise, coordinated movement, strange scent and sound, these weren't optional upgrades for an already dominant species. They were the bare minimum survival toolkit for an animal that started out near the bottom of the food chain and had to claw, scream, and smoke its way upward. Group living itself turns out to be one of the most powerful defenses in the entire toolkit, and it works on a level deeper than just safety in numbers. Researchers studying social mammals point out that almost every daytime active primate species lives in permanent social groups, and predation pressure is one of the main reasons why. More eyes means more chances to spot danger before it gets close. More bodies means more options to confuse a predator by scattering in different directions, or to physically mob and overwhelm it if it commits to an attack. A predator targeting an isolated individual is making a calculated, relatively low-risk decision. A predator targeting a tight, coordinated group is making a much riskier bet, because that group can respond as one unit, faster and more aggressively than any single member could alone. This is also where something easy to overlook becomes important. A group isn't just more bodies standing near each other. It's more eyes scanning more directions at once, more ears tuned to slightly different sounds, more individuals capable of noticing the one detail that matters. A shift in the grass, a smell on the wind, a silence where there should be birdsong. A predator stalking a lone target only has to defeat that one target's awareness. A predator stalking a group has to somehow defeat all of them simultaneously, undetected, which is an entirely different and far less reliable proposition. Over enough encounters, predators that kept trying their luck against groups like this paid for it in wasted energy and occasional injury, while predators that learned to wait for an isolated straggler did much better. That difference, repeated across countless encounters, is exactly the kind of pressure that teaches an entire species, generation after generation, to leave the group alone and wait for the exception instead. Put these pieces together and a genuinely strange picture starts to form. Your ancestors weren't intimidating because of strength. They didn't have it. They were intimidating because they were chaotic, loud, coordinated, strange-smelling, strange-sounding, and almost impossible to read using the normal predator playbook built around chasing down panicked, isolated animals. Every predator on that ancient landscape had spent millions of years learning how prey behaves, how it moves, how it breaks, how it panics, and your ancestors simply refused to follow that script. They didn't run in predictable patterns. They didn't go quiet and try to hide. They got louder. They got closer together. They threw things back. They built fire and kept it burning into the night. None of these things made them physically dangerous in the way a lion or a wolf was dangerous, but none of them needed to be. Because the goal was never to win a physical fight. The goal was to make the fight not worth starting in the first place, and that in the end might be the most unsettling part of this entire story. Somewhere out there, in the dark, predators that could have effortlessly killed a single human looked at a screaming, fire-wielding, stick-banging group of these strange upright animals and made a calculated decision to walk away. Not because they were beaten, not because they were weak, but because the math simply stopped favoring the attack. Generation after generation, that calculation repeated itself across the landscape until the animals doing the calculating had quietly, permanently rewritten their own instincts around avoiding you. So the next time you imagine your ancestors standing alone and defenseless in the wild, picture it differently. Picture the noise, the fire, the strange smell carried on the wind that no normal prey animal ever produced. Picture an animal that had nothing built into its body for fighting, and built an entire arsenal out of everything else instead. What do you think was the smartest survival trick on this list? Let me know in the comments. See you soon.